Hello. This is my last broadcast of the day, I promise. I am going to talk about the hidden cost of being in burnout mode because I know that it is just the cost of being showing up as a person who's assigned female at birth is really hard to juggle our many responsibilities and going to work, doing our workplace duties and showing up in our homes. Um, so a lot of people when they come to me, before they come to me, a lot of my clients have tried so many things. So they've tried the DIY method, which is basically like copying, pasting little things here and there from different spheres, a podcast here, a book excerpt here about burnout, or something about trauma or intergenerational cycles, to try to piece everything together to try to create a DIY program that they've created to work through their burnout. Or a lot of people, um, they take vacations, they take extended sabbaticals, they take time off of work, they take a leave of absence, and they go down to part-time. That's a lot of what people are doing. And A lot of the reasons are that it's expensive to see a coach. It's expensive to invest in yourself and to put yourself first. It's exhausting to try something new, like getting help, even and asking for help. And asking for help is really hard in general. Like when, especially in our cultures where we have not really had permission to ask for help, it's not traditionally been safe to ask for help. A lot of folks don't ask for help until they're way burnt out, and it is at that point it's burned beyond a crisp. So um, a lot of people will call me up at that time, both in my therapy practice and in my coaching practice. They have said, "Hey, listen, I've already been burnt out, like in the past, and I know it's going to happen again in my new workplace. I just need to get on it now." And some folks are like, um, I'm in the middle of it and I don't know how to get out of it. And I've done all the things and nothing has worked. I've been on vacation, extra long vacation. I can't afford to stay on vacation. I can't afford to take a leave of absence. I can't afford to quit my job. Um, so I got to find a solution. Some things that I know that folks are afraid of when they go down the path of trying to invest in themselves and to try to do things to address their burnout is that it can feel scary to prioritize yourself and your healing. It can feel real scary because that means you might be shifting your focus from taking care of everybody else and shifting that focus back on you. And that is so hard for a lot of people. I understand how hard that is as a mom with three kids. It can feel incredibly selfish, self indulgent, and really shameful to be like, okay, I need to focus on myself and need to take time to take care of me. Um, and it can be really scary because it can bring up some skeletons in the closet that you're like purposely have left in the closet, right? And we're not just talking about Halloween, we're talking about all year round. People are like not wanting to address skeletons in the closet because it's in the closet for a reason. It's hella scary. It's We're tired and we don't have capacity for that, right? And these skeletons might be patterns, old beliefs, things that we're just hanging on to because they're just too painful to address, like relationships that are really draining that cause you to rescue people again and again, or work dynamics that are really difficult, but you don't want to rock that boat, that's a skeleton, right? And maybe another reason that people are afraid to come to me is, or to seek help with burnout, is because maybe it's scary to look into patterns that might bring up incredible amounts of shame. Shame is one of the most powerful feelings in in a way that's debilitating, not powerful in a way that's like encouraging, but in a way that's totally debilitating. So, a lot of people are feeling like, "Ooh, I, I'm not sure if I feel good about even admitting that I'm burnt out." I mean, there's such a big badge on like, um, how it's, something that reminds me of that is like it starts even at such a young age. My middle child, who's 5, whenever she falls at the playground, sometimes she's getting better at this, but whenever she used to fall, she immediately, like immediately, her impulse was to say, "I'm okay." And I'm like, wow, she's really keyed into, even at such a young age, like making sure that people know that she's okay, and they don't need to you know, check in on her. And it is real, right? That takes us into we take that into adulthood. Maybe sometimes people see you as someone who has it all together, and maybe it would be hard to ask for help because it would be a huge shift in your identity. Like, people look to you for help, people look to you for comfort, people look to you for encouragement, people vent to you. And maybe it's rare that you're in that position where you're the one asking for help. And so maybe it's a strange, and maybe that means like there aren't many people that you would feel safe sharing your struggles with. So I know that, asking for help and kind of coming to approaching a coach or a mental health therapist is a huge leap of faith. Like, there's so many trust issues that come up, right? It's like, can this person even help me? Is this person even gonna be able to like address my concerns? And ultimately, a lot of people hesitate to ask for help because it causes so much discomfort, and they know that they'll have to make shifts in their lives. And it is really hard to make shifts when you're burnt out. I mean, like, it's hard to make shifts when you're not burnt out, but it's hard to make shifts when you are burnt out. I remember when I was in my 20s, coming from an immigrant family, I'm like, I did, I didn't have good dental hygiene. So I started, this is a confession. I didn't even plan to make this confession. I don't even know why I'm making it now, but I have a point, I promise. I remember in my early 20s, a roommate and I, Sarah Leary, she's probably like out here somewhere in the Instagram world. Um, she's I mean, we're good friends, but she actually helped me to develop the habit of flossing every day. And I was like, dang, this is hard. Like, how do I like put the floss around my finger so it's like as good tension. I mean, it was a thing. I don't know, for all of y'all out there who floss, y'all know it's a thing to like turn that string around and put it in around your hand. Anyways, it was like a new thing that I had to do every single day, that I had to make time for. And I'm not comparing my program to flossing, but if you know that you're burnt out and you know something different needs to happen, incorporating new shifts, even if those shifts are good, could be really, really uncomfortable. And I could understand how people are like, no, I'm burnt out. I don't even have time to get asked for help because I'm so tired. I can't do one new thing, even if that new thing is helpful. So I just want to normalize that. And I wanted to touch on things that you might lose out on because you're not taking action. So, some of the things that you might lose out on is you might lose out on some relationships. When you're with your family and your friends and you're not able to be present because you're thinking about work projects, finishing up emails, whatever it is, or you're busy rescuing your colleagues because they're not able to get their act together, so you get to cover their ass. It costs you capacity to be present with folks that you really want to be present with. Maybe like your kids. And maybe you don't want to be present with your kids because they're annoying as fuck. Because sometimes kids are. But at least to get even have the chance to even be present and to give yourself a chance to show up is not possible when you're burnt out. So what you're losing out on is time, quality time with people that you love potentially. And the way things work with burnout is that it creates numbness. And you can't be the thing with numbness, and maybe if everyone's different in how it shows up, but the thing about numbness is that it's not numbness is protective. Numbness allows you to not feel pain. That's your body's mechanism to protect you from not feeling pain. And with numbness, the bad part about that is that it doesn't allow you to experience joy. So if you've ever been in a period of depression, you know that there's some numbness involved in depression too. A lot of people don't smile even if things are funny. Like if are making a really funny joke, like I remember my partner at in my second and first pregnancy, I experienced some postpartum depression. My kids would be doing the cutest thing, and my partner, who didn't have postpartum depression, and some guys do, by the way, have postpartum depression, they would do the cutest thing, and my husband would be enjoying them so much and just delighting in them. And I could not even bust out a smile. I could not even enjoy it. And that's what numbness does. Numbness doesn't allow you to experience pain, which is protective, but also joy because it's indiscriminate. It's just numb. It just causes you to be numb. When you're disconnected from your body and unable to feel your body, which is part of numbness, you can't meet your body's needs. So when your body's saying like, hey, I have a pain here, or I have, this part of me is not working, or that part of me is like, breaking down, your body it would not communicate to you. And then you can't meet their needs. And so as a result, your body starts breaking down from stress hives, from insomnia, from stress-related illnesses. And I have a client who breaks out in stress-related hives every time they step into their workplace. And so imagining how that is, your body's just like really trying to tell you a message like, hey, I'm having a hard time. I need things to shift. What are you losing out on financially if you don't address burnout? Well, some of the research that came out after 2021 was showing the people who suffered most from the Great Resignation were females. Females dropped out of the workplace at alarming rates. And not only did they drop out, they went down to part-time, or they took a leave of absence. A lot of them quit. A lot of us quit. And when you're thinking about women of color who are dropping out, the cost is even greater because getting back in to the workplace, there's a little bit of a pause there, and then getting back in is really hard. So when you're working from a place of being burnt out, you might voluntarily pull yourself out of the workforce, taking a leave of absence and moving to part-time or switching to a less demanding job. That means you might risk taking a pay cut or not getting paid at all if you quit. And this is a huge cost financially for folks who are trying to stay on track to retire, which can feel like a pipe dream for folks. For women of color, we're already earning less than white women. And this is especially costly as we think about the loss of compound interest over time in your retirement. And we know that juggling, working from home, caretaking with family, homeschooling, remote schooling, and health issues, the burden is huge on women. So that's another reason why I created this program just for femmes is because of the statistics that showed us we're suffering, we're not doing well. And it's not just an individual thing, it's a collective institutional problem. So what are the possibilities for working that might come from working with me? So we will take the time to redefine your relationship with work and yourself. Work will be seen as work and not something that is done as a way to prove yourself or a way to be validated. So many of us were ingrained with this thought that like by getting good grades growing up, going to good schools, getting your degrees, and then ultimately getting a job, that was the way that we communicated to our parents, okay, we made it, we're okay, you don't have to worry about us anymore. That is such a dangerous set of beliefs because that just sets us up for putting all our eggs in the basket of work, being something that creates validation and creates a way for us to prove ourselves to be worthy, or to make not even prove ourselves to be worthy, but to be to like help validate our parents' struggles and sufferings. Um, Another part of that is if we see the work as a way to prove ourselves, um, when we make a mistake, and notice I said when, not if, we made a mistake at work that sometimes might be costly, it would be seen if we don't see work as a way to prove ourselves, our mistakes would be just mistakes that you make because you're human and because you're messy, because you're human. It would be just something you need to correct, but it wouldn't shake up your sense of self and it wouldn't shake up your sense of self worth. So, something that I wanted to make space for is to just acknowledge that our relationship with work is informed by our ancestors' relationship to work and elders' relationship to work. So, how do you notice your elders and ancestors in your family relating to work? What is their relationship to work? And what do they have to do to make it in this world through working? This is the cloth that you are cut from, but this is not the cloth that you need to create for your future family. Maybe you saw that your family had to hustle, and so you believe you need to hustle in order to make it. And this is, again, not explicit, but implicit. Maybe you find yourself doubling down and maintaining control. And maybe that's something that, like, you needed to do growing up because you were left in charge of your siblings when your parents went to work. And control was something that helped you make it in the family. So kids were all fed and safe. And now you've taken that imprint and you brought it to work. And so, all of these things we'll address in our program as a way to break generational patterns. And ultimately, this is what this program is about, is to break generational patterns that don't serve us and to keep generational patterns that do serve us. So by doing this work, you'll see that your relationship to work will change and your relationship to yourself will change. If you have kids or if you have little nibblings, like little nephews and nieces, maybe they'll start to notice the changes and they'll see that they can have a different relationship to work and themselves too. If you want to learn more, check out my website, theunburnoutstrategy.com. I'm accepting applicants for my group program and it's closing October 15th. And I hope to see you soon. And we'll and hit me up in the DMs if you have any questions, and drop a comment if you saw this on a replay and it was helpful. I will talk to you